All right, we are starting to get people logged on, so I'm going to get started since we have a lot to cover today. Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Cece Mortar and I'm the programs manager for the Steamboat Springs Chamber. I want to start by giving a quick shout out to our business education series sponsors, Mountain Valley Bank, UC Health, Northwest Data Services, Air Academy Credit Union, and the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority. A couple of house cleaning items. Please switch your chat to everyone so that everyone can see your chat. And then we also ask that you put your questions into the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. And then today I couldn't be more excited to introduce Brooke Salazar. Brooke is the owner of Fan-Based Digital Marketing Agency right here in Steamboat Springs. With 15 years of experience building brands in the corporate marketing world, Brooke and her husband Brian launched Fanbase to support businesses in the Yampa Valley. And then over the past 9 years, she's not only helped local entrepreneurs and businesses grow and thrive through her marketing expertise, but she has also developed a deep understanding of the specific challenges faced by businesses in Route County. So it makes her the true expert on marketing tailored to our region's needs. And with that, Brooke, I will let you get started.
Thank you so much. Hello to everybody. It's so fun. I'm looking at all the attendees and I get so excited because we've been here for so long and there's a lot of names I don't know. So that's really exciting to me. So for you, those of you who don't know me, I think that Cece just did a great job of introducing me so that I'm just going to jump right into the presentation. One thing I would absolutely love though is, I don't want to talk a whole bunch about a bunch of stuff that you guys either know or aren't interested in. So if you guys wouldn't mind just in the chat, because there's a lot of names I don't know, could you just type in what industry you're in? So if it's retail, restaurant, whatever that is, and if there's anything in particular you absolutely want me to hit on, now would be the time because I'm either going to skip through some things or I can linger a little bit longer on a few things too. And then we'll save time at the very end for any kind of questions. That's also like, I definitely, that's really why I'm here is I want to answer questions. So I'm going to go fairly quickly. I believe everybody will get the recording. So you'll be able to see that. And then that way that gives us a bunch of time to ask questions at the end. Okay, cool. So I'm seeing business consulting. Awesome. Consumer business finance, cool. IT consulting, healthcare, executive management and consulting, cool. So it's sounding like we're going to have quite a few personal coaching, awesome. Web design, nonprofit marketing. Oh, cool. Cool. So we have a lot of like small businesses. Perfect. This is ideal. The healthcare and telehealth online practice, that's kind of probably small to mid-size. Cool. All right. Awesome. Thank you for doing that, you guys. That's really helpful for me. So I feel like we're going to be in a good spot. So I'm going to share my screen. Orthopedic medical. Cool. Perfect. If you have any questions as we go, drop them in the Q&A. I have that open, so I'll continue watching that, and so will Cece. So we'll just make sure we're doing that as we go. Let me jump in. I have a little presentation to share for you guys. So let me know if you, whoa, didn't want to go all the way to the end. Sorry about that. Let me know. Can everybody see that? Cool. Okay. I am going to work through here. I'm going to have a hard time seeing if you guys raise your hand. So maybe Cece, you can let me know when my presentation's on full screen. Okay, so today, here's my goal of today. I think marketing can be super overwhelming for people who aren't in it. And I totally get that and I respect that. So my goal is through the lens of a small business owner, and you're wearing a bazillion hats, how do you use your time and money wisely when it comes to marketing? I feel like having worked with a lot of small business owners, they all know there's a need for it, but they're like, it's always the last on their list. And to be honest with you, I am guilty of that as well. Owning my own business is oftentimes my own marketing is hard to prioritize above anything else. So I want to share with you a couple tips that not only do we work with other companies to help them, but also things I use on my own when it comes to marketing and how do I do that when I'm wearing so many different hats. So that's my goal for today. Cece already did this, so I'm going to skip right over it because I feel like you guys already know me, but just know that my heart is, I love helping small businesses. I come from big corporation. There's a reason why I left the corporate world. I genuinely love building these relationships and I love this area. So please don't be afraid to ever reach out if you just have questions. I geek out on this stuff all the time. So having said that, let's get right into it. I wanted to start with a couple things that are just marketing trends that as a business owner, you should just be aware of. So I have a couple slides in here just to help kind of lay the foundation for it. A couple things that are really important broadly. Omnichannel marketing is a real deal. So what that means is that all of our consumers, the vast majority of them are going to intercept with your brand in multiple different channels. It's no longer really possible to just say, I'm going to do one thing and just call it good, because the two things happen, and it ties to this second trend, which is authenticity. If you do that, if you do one thing, let's just say you do print, and I'm not against print. I actually think there's a big role for print in marketing. If you just do print, nowadays what happens is people will see the print ad, they go to Google and they'll search for you. And if they can't find you, there's a disconnect. You lose the authenticity of your brand because it's not consistently where everybody wants to find you. The same is true with online. On the next slide, I'm going to show you a bunch of stats, but people are all over the place. So this creates some confusion for business owners to say, there's so much marketing I can do. Where do I even start? And here's my number one tip for anybody when it comes to marketing. On the bottom, this is what we call the purchase journey. Regardless of industry that you're in, every consumer will go through this. Either it might be a long process, it might be a short process, depending on the industry, but everybody goes through this to make a decision. It starts with awareness. They have to be aware of either you, or they have to be aware that there's a problem that they're trying to solve. So they might not even know that they need your service until you make them aware of it. Once they have awareness, they might do interest in research. If it's a long journey, this might be, if it's a big purchase, this will be a big section of their journey. If it's a small purchase, it might be immediate. It might be 3 seconds. But either way, they are going to do something that will give them knowledge to make the decision. Then they're going to go into consideration and they're going to narrow it down to a few different options. So like professional coaching, that's a great one. If it's consideration, it's kind of like, okay, I have a couple different options to do this. I can do consulting, or sorry, I can get my coaching or consulting online. I could go to a counselor. I could get a coach. What do I need? There's going to be a consideration period where they're going to say, okay, I have all these options. How do I make the choice? Then there's intent. Okay, I'm going to buy. For retail, this is putting the product in the Amazon cart, but not actually buying it. So you can think about it. That's intent. Or it could be making the phone call, interviewing people. Then you get to purchase. All of those happen in the journey. So when you're choosing what to do with your time and money as a business owner, when it comes to marketing, my recommendation is always do not choose one thing in this journey and just call it good. It is possible to touch different points in this journey for the same exact budget. So what I would do is start small, but use more than one, no matter what. So choose an awareness driver and choose an intent or a consideration, one that will help you with conversions. Always start with multiple facets, even on the smallest budget. And we can talk about what that looks like because there are incredibly efficient channels that you can do this with. But keep that in mind that the worst case scenario is you throw a bunch of money out there at an awareness campaign and then they can't find you. Or you spend a bunch of money at a conversion channel, but nobody knows that they have a problem. They don't even know about you to search for you. Neither one of those are good solutions. So it's always a blend. Authenticity is incredibly important. There are so many ways today where you can go use a Canva template and build your own marketing. That's awesome. But it has to be consistent and it has to be always look and feel like you. Otherwise, the consumer will look at it and say, something's off. I don't trust it. That's huge when you get into omni-channel marketing. AI, artificial intelligence, is obviously a big trend. My only caution here is go for it, use it. If you like ChatGPT, awesome. Just know that there's no real safeguards right now when it comes to trademarking or illegal usage. So be cautious of how you use it. I would not use a straight chat GPT if you're going to publish that copy somewhere because it's just not sophisticated enough. We use it internally with our agency on the back end. So a lot of optimization, stronger targeting methods that we have for AI. We personally do not use it for our creative and our copy just because AI is just not quite there yet. I'm going to pause for a second and see if there's any questions, if I can find my Zoom. Oh, yay. Okay, great. There is, okay, great. No questions so far. I'm going to keep going. Channel trends. So this is what a lot of small businesses ask about because they're like, holy crap, there's so many options. So let me just give you a quick lay of the land. So many channels when it comes to digital in particular. So here's a couple things to think about. Display ads. It's like the biggest spend for most small businesses because it's super efficient. Display ads are basically when it is all those banner ads that show up on the news channel, the weather channel. They could show up on a blog post, on a sporting, like ESPN, wherever it is that your target is. The targeting capabilities are extraordinary when it comes to display ads, and it's incredibly efficient. So the cost is really low and you can get a ton of impressions. So your goal on this one is broad, targeted, very targeted awareness. Local SEO, you're going to hear me talk about this one quite a bit. I personally think this is your number one thing you should do as a small business owner. Extraordinarily cheap, and really important. So 97% of users who are online will find a local business. That's where they're searching for, is somebody nearby. Local SEO is when you go to Google and you say restaurant nearby, so tire center near me, coaching near me, healthcare near me, anything that's near me is local SEO. Google has been prioritizing this in the search rankings for years now, and that's not going to quit. And then 72% of people who did conduct that local search go to that business if it's within 5 miles of them. Local search is kind of like a must-have in this town. Whether it's a visitor or a local, the vast majority of people are going to go to Google and they're going to search for something, and your Google business profile needs to show up. Tie that to local listings goes beyond Google business profile, and it makes you findable across the entire search engine. So this is kind of a must-have. We can talk about it a little bit more later. Everybody also asks about social media marketing. This is a big one, and it's a beast, and it's super confusing for small business and frustrating. So let me give you a couple pieces of data of something to think about. As of just this last July, there's 5 billion social media users online. On average, every single day, they're using almost 7 different social platforms, and they spend 2 hours a day on social. That's a lot of social media. The problem is the organic reach of Facebook and Instagram in particular is decreasing consistently every year because of this proliferation. The challenge becomes, as a business owner, when you're just posting on social media, you're not going to see the results that you want to see because the reach is decreasing constantly. On average, about 2% of your audience will actually see your posts because their feeds are so cluttered. So you have to get wise about how to use social media so that you're not wasting your time and money. I think I heard a ding. Let's see if there's, oh, yep, question. Yep. Okay, cool. Talking about SEO in particular. So, are there tips if the business is completely online, serving the entire state of Colorado? Do you pick a big city and pretend you're based there? Not necessarily. So local SEO isn't necessarily going to say, pinpoint and say you have to be 5 miles away. If your Google business profile, if you have a Google business profile, almost always Google will force you into putting your address on there, mostly because they're not interested in a lot of e-commerce. The key is that, and you're going to hear me talk about this for local SEO and social media platforms, the setup isn't necessarily the address. The setup is also the keywords. So if you talk about coaching in Colorado, the best executive coaching in Colorado, Those keywords are going to help force that local SEO ranking and as well as your Facebook searchability. So I think that how you set them up isn't necessarily have to be the address. Having said that, when you're looking at a broader range, I would highly recommend, there's a lot of things you can do with your own Google business profile. I would look at hiring somebody to sync all your local listings. It's incredibly inexpensive, and there's a lot of people that do this. We're talking like $200 a month. So that's what we offer, at least on our end, to sync across everything. I feel like if you're going in a state or region wide, that will help you increase your ranking just through consistency. So I would say, I hope that answers your question. Did that answer your question? I kind of talked for a little bit. Let me see. I hope it does. Will you tell me if it doesn't? Will you type that in? And then I'll come back around to local SEO. Email marketing, I get this question a lot too. Email marketing is actually becoming bigger. So what it's becoming smaller at is when you use it as a loyalty tool. You have to have a pretty incredibly loyal following, and it can be really efficient. Where it becomes more efficient for people is if you use it as an awareness tool. So programmatic email has made huge strides in this. There's email acquisition software, so you can gather the emails of anybody that goes to your website. That's become really effective. This is a huge time one for any small business owner. So if you really are interested in email marketing, I would say, let's just talk about that one separately. I have some tips for you how you can become more efficient, but I would first ask the question is that the best way to spend your time and money? And we're going to talk about that in a couple slides. Texting, again, another great tool. Usually it's tied to email marketing platforms. Again, this is only mostly for a loyalty program. Most people do not want to be text spammed, and that can get quite frustrating. So I would caution anybody in using it from that perspective, but it is a great tool when it's a loyalty program. Radio and TV have a very similar trend going on. They're a big chunk of advertising spend, but streaming radio and streaming TV are becoming larger and larger in both of those areas. So just keep in mind, even locally in Steamboat, you're going to have people who will listen to the local radio, but more often than not, you're going to see a lot more streaming. So SXM, like even podcasting, you're going to see a lot of that. Spotify, you're going to see a lot more listening to that than just the local radio station. Same is going to be true on TV. Any other questions on specific channels? Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. Oh, yay. Great question. Okay, so the question is, what's the best way to figure out your keywords in SEO optimization and local search? It's twofold. So unless you have access to some of these search tools, there's a lot of free search tools you can find online. So if you go in and Google free search keyword tools, you'll get a laundry list of them. They will help you kind of identify keywords. But in order to even use those tools, you first need to identify what are the keywords you want to be known for, and not just known for, what are people searching for? Both of those are equally important questions to ask yourself. Then I think when you hone in on 3 to 5 keywords that you want to be known for, that's where those keywords need to live everywhere. On your local SEO and your Google business profile, on all of your social media platforms. I'll actually talk about that one in a little while. But that's going to be really important, is for you to decide what those 3 are. If you don't like the tools, that's also another service a lot of people offer. And oftentimes they will help you with that search free. So if you know agencies that might be able to help you with that, there are a lot of tools that they're going to have at their fingertips that can help you define those keywords. I will caution you though, whatever agency you go with, they're going to crawl your website, and that's where they're going to get the keywords. So if your website isn't already hosting those, be very cautious on the results from any kind of search like that. A lot of times it will have to do with more, when we get into the strategy side of it, is you defining who you want to be, and then use those tools, because the tools will help you identify kind of like the tangential keywords that will ladder up to those core keywords, but you're going to need to define those first. Did that make sense? I tend to kind of get into a geek out mode on marketing, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. So let me know if you have another question on that one. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Cool. Okay, so building a plan for next year. I have a lot of tools that I can share with any and all of you after this call, but here's what I would encourage all small business owners. Just carve out 1 hour between now and the end of the year. And I think there's certain things you need to ask yourself. Number one, first and foremost, is what are your business gaps? A lot of people, when we start working with people, they're not really sure what they want from their business, or they might say, business is growing great. They just feel like they need to do marketing, which cool, you should. However, you should know what you want to accomplish. So the business gap means today, my business makes $10,000. Next year, I want my business to make $15,000. Then I think the question is that $5,000, how are you going to go get it? And that's where marketing comes in. And that's where you really need to identify it. And how you do that is you say, okay, so I have $5,000. Perhaps you think $2,000 of that is going to come from just talking to your current clients. They're probably going to start spending more money. They probably want different services. You might start a referral program if you're a coach. Healthcare is a ton of service options there. Then you might say, okay, but I have 3,000. I don't know how to go get, and I have to bring in new clients. That might be where marketing comes in. Identifying kind of that strategic path to filling those gaps is your first and foremost number one question. The second question is, who do you go after? And then how? So first, how do people use your services? What services do you have that you think that your target could use that they haven't been used in the past, or you've proven it, they just need more of it? And then what target is going to offer you the best path to your goal? Now, I will say this for a resort town, this is a huge question that I think business owners really need to wrestle with is, do I talk to locals or I talk to visitors? The majority of people that I just saw on here, you guys are more in this local space, or you're online and you have a broader community. Marketing for locals and visitors is very different, and the profitability is also very different from reaching locals versus visitors. So you need to ask yourself that question. If you were a coach, or even in the healthcare field too, are you targeting men? Are you targeting women? Are you targeting children for the healthcare? Like, are you parents to get the children? These are all questions you have to ask yourself so that you can get really, really a well-defined target. That's my number one. Then how do you reach them? So then if you're trying to target men, well, what channels are they on? Where are they absorbing their information? Do you want to be on ESPN or the newspaper? Do you believe that they read the newspaper? You have to know where they are before you're going to hone in on any kind of awareness driving channel. Lastly, what does success look like? I also talk to a lot of business owners where they put a lot of money into channels and they have absolutely no idea if it's working. As a small business owner, every dollar is so important, and you need to be really confident that those dollars are working for you. So choose marketing that you can tie to a result. The way that you can do that, for example, is let's say you do want to be in print newspapers. Newspapers can be great if it's trackable. So make them trackable. So if you're going to put an ad in a paper, add in a QR code to a specific page on your website, a landing page, so you know exactly how much traffic came from that print ad. On the radio, you could have a specific page on your site that you drive people to. So you know that if they heard that on the radio and they went to that page, you know where it came from. There's ways to make these trackable that I think is going to be, number one, help you feel good about your spend, but then also build momentum and know where to spend the money. So I would just try to find a trackable system no matter what. Let's see. I'm going to keep going. Okay. Templates. So this is what I'm happy to share with any of you guys. This is what I use internally. I start with building out a budget. So I definitely start with some strategic questions. I can share that with you as well, but I have a strategic planning document that will walk you through this entire process. It starts with here's your strategic questions that you can answer. And then it goes into building out on some of like the mathematical side of it. So once you know who you want to target, oftentimes I will build out a budget of what I know. So here's a fillable form of saying, here's some channels that I want to run awareness channels. So print, radio, display ads. Here's some conversion channels. And again, these dollars could be small, but the reality is that you should always know, are you filling the journey? And are you spending your money wisely? So it's just always good to map them out, even if the dollars are small. Once you have that budget, what's really important is calculating a return on ad spend before you spend the money. A lot of times people will spend the money and at the end of it, they're like, oh, I thought I was going to get more than that. And you want to know before going into it. So what I do with every one of my clients, and I do it with myself, is I start with calculating. It's called a customer acquisition cost target. Basically, how much should you be willing to spend to acquire a new customer? To do that, and this is the math behind it, is you calculate the value of that client, the lifetime value, from a revenue standpoint and a profitability standpoint. So what you should be able to say is, okay, so based on average revenue, the lifetime trips that they'll probably make, it will give me my customer value. I'm going to attach a profit margin, and that will give me the customer acquisition cost target. Let's just say that is $10. You should not spend more than $10 to acquire that person because that's your break-even point. So you have to build a marketing budget that allows for that kind of math so that you always make more than what you spend. Once you do that, then you can start to actually lay in, and this is a communication calendar that we build for ourselves and our clients as well, to say, here's our goal. Here's what's going on each month. Is there anything we need to tell people about? And then how are we going to tell them? What channels? What's the goal of those channels? And then what's the creative messaging? So all these three things together get you to a place of, okay, this is my plan. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Here's how much I can spend. And here's what I expect to get out of it. Okay, so how to use your time wisely. This is something I struggle with. So I'm going to use myself personally to talk about this. The inefficiency of self-sufficiency of small businesses is real. Small business owners oftentimes think we can just do it. We have to do it all, and we can do it all. And the reality is we probably can do it all. The question that I always ask small business owners is, and I ask myself, what can I do that no one else can do? That's where I should be spending my time and money as often as I possibly can. And that's when you make more money. So for me, as an example, what I can do that nobody else in my agency can do is the strategic planning for our clients. That is just where I shine. It's where my expertise is. And when I do that well, and when I spend my time doing that well, my business makes more money, because then all of a sudden I'm serving my clients better. They tell people, more people come. That it somehow, some way, it has proven time and time again that if I spend my time there, my business makes more money. So then you ask yourself, how do I maximize that time? How do I get rid of as much of the other stuff that I can? Then ask yourself, how much is my time worth? How much would I, on average, an hour, how much would I make? And then how can I outsource for less than that? So if your time is worth $100 an hour and you spend a whole bunch of your time doing administrative tasks or bookkeeping tasks, can you hire somebody at $25 an hour to do some of those and then commit to spending that time doing the things that you do best? That will set you up. Same thing with marketing. Yes, you could spend a whole bunch of time posting on Facebook, but is it worth $100 an hour? And are you seeing that benefit coming from that time? If the answer is no, then I would really consider that maybe you can be spending your time more wisely. so that it's spending less on things other people can do for a far less money, if that makes sense. It feels really scary, to be honest with you. I get it. As a small business owner, I don't like spending money either. However, if you trust that your time is valuable and you truly have this skill set to offer the world, that's where you should be spending your time. So finding ways to grow into that, I think, is my number one recommendation for business owners. Here's a couple of tips really quick that you can do today from a marketing standpoint to help you. Number one, get a free local SEO audit. There's so many agencies that do this, and you probably get bombarded with emails, people offering this, but it is so easy to just get a local SEO audit for free that will tell you how your Google business profile and how your listings sync up across the entire online sphere. So number one, do that so you know where you stand and if you know you have issues. Just because of the impact that has on your findability online, it's such an easy, cheap thing to do. Once you know that, and let's just say you want to focus on your Google business profile and not do full local SEO, which is business listings across the whole website. Google business profile, a couple of things you can do for sure. Number one, make sure you've just claimed your ownership of the profile. It could be out there, but if you don't own it, you don't have any kind of control over it. So make sure you've claimed the ownership. Make sure everything in there is incredibly accurate across all your touch points online. So I'm going to give you an example. If your street is 5,000 Street Road, and on Google Business Profile, it is RD period, but on Facebook, your address is spelt out ROAD. Google doesn't care that that's technically the same word. It's considered an inaccuracy, and Google looks at it that it's not accurate, and it's kind of like a detriment to you. So that's the easiest thing, is 100% consistency across your name, address, and phone number across those assets. Verification. So Google Business Profile will ask you to be verified. It can be a cumbersome process, a little tricky. They give you a couple options to verify that you own the business. The reason why that's important is, again, Google is looking for credibility. And if you have a verification, that just adds to your credibility. And if you have credibility with Google Business Profile, it affects your entire searchability. Reviews. A lot of people look at reviews nowadays across all platforms. What I would tell you is it's not good practice to filter out reviews that come in. It is good practice, however, to be responsive to them when they happen and encourage people to add in reviews. Reviews actually help with your ranking as well, your SEO ranking. So the more reviews you can get, the better. And then photos. The reason why I say this is because, again, you can't filter out anybody else putting photos on. Photos are just incredibly relevant to a lot of people nowadays. So I would add your own. And as strange as it is, even with Google Business Profiles, having photos on there tells Google that you care about the profile, and you get even more credibility and better ranking. So I would say those are just some really easy things you can do with your Google Business Profile. Facebook. A lot of people have thought about Facebook as just kind of like a social media platform. What's been dramatically changed in the last couple of years is Facebook SEO. So your Facebook listing now has a pretty big impact on your SEO ranking. So does your Facebook listing show up in SEO? There's a couple things you can do to help influence that, so that if somebody goes in and searches for a medical office near me, your Facebook profile actually shows up in the SEO. Couple things. You need to enable searching from your Facebook page. So that's in the business settings, so that it actually shows up in SEO. That's number one, is make sure that that's turned on. Have a call to action, because once they click on your page, number one, it signifies from an SEO standpoint, again, credibility. But number two, when they get to the profile, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to call you, email you? Make sure you have a call to action button. That's also in your settings. Ensure that your bio is complete, accurate, up-to-date, and compelling. This is where you use your keywords. So make sure, Google Business Profile as well, too, by the way. Make sure you're using your keywords smartly and wisely to describe your business and that it's consistently across both of these profiles. You can customize your URL for Facebook. So, like for example, ours is Fanbase Digital Agency, I think, or Fanbase Marketing Agency, as opposed to just having the numbers behind your URL for Facebook. You can customize that. The reason why that matters is it also helps with SEO because you're creating the consistency in keywords. Keywords we just talked about. Featured images, same thing as Google Business Profile. The more complete your Facebook profile is, the higher your credibility with the search engines, and the better the ranking you'll get. And then make sure all your pages, your website pages, link to Facebook. Backlinking is a technical SEO tactic that not a lot of people do really well because it's very difficult to link from other pages. But it is easy to link your own. So constantly make sure all your digital assets are just linking back and forth. The reason why I say that these are the top 3 things you should do today is because I strongly believe that your starting point is always being findable for the people who are looking for you. That's the lowest hanging fruit, is findability. Once you've kind of shored that up and you have a little bit of that foundation, at least, then I think you build awareness and you choose the channels that work best for your business and the target that you're going after, but not until you've kind of shored up the basics on these. Oh, we have a question. Let's see. Where do we go to run the SEO audit? So if you haven't had an agency reach out to you already to offer this, we're happy to do it. We do it for free for anybody who reaches out. So we can run it for you. I'll give you my email after this, and all it will tell you is you'll get the audit that says, here's the inaccuracy across your listings, and then how many of your competitors have better reviews than you. From there, it'll just kind of give you where are you missing your listings and what's important to you. So we're happy to do that. If you don't know of anybody else, we can always share that with you. Okay, I have something in the chat. Let's see. Oh, yep. All right, Amy, cool. So you'll have my contact information if that's something you want after this. All right, yay, look at that. Perfect. Okay, so I want to save some time for questions, anything that anybody has. If there's anything I just went too fast over, did I miss anything? Any particular channels that you guys want answers on? I am happy to do that.
I'll give people just a minute because I know sometimes it lags a little. But I will, just while we're waiting for questions to come in, I'll be sending out the recording this afternoon, and in that I'll include Brooke's email for the free local SEO audit, and then I'll also share your emails with her so that she can send you the downloadable strategic planning, budget, communication calendar templates that she had up earlier. There is a question in the questions, Brooke. They're coming in.
Awesome. Okay, so question about SEO versus Google Ads. It's a great question. So I think the best way for me to do this is I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to do a quick Google search. Honestly, I think that's probably my best way of showing you what this looks like. So don't get scared. My desktop might have a lot going on. So close your eyes for a second while I pull up my Google. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to show my desktop. All right, let's do this. If I were just to Google, let's just say I do, I think you just did consulting, like executive coach. Wow. Oh gosh, you guys do not want to see that. That is my calendar. Okay, let's try executive coaching Colorado Steamboat. Okay. What you'll see over here is I'm just going to show you this. At the top, this is PPC. So these are your Google ads. Anything that says sponsored is paid for. So that's where Google will always force paid ads to come to the top. When you scroll down, there's a lot of paid ads in here. When you scroll down to this point, underneath here, there is 0 Google Business Profiles. So this is not considered a local search, or there isn't anybody who has a Google Business Profile. Otherwise, that would show up underneath the paid ads. Then when you get down here, you will have all of the organic SEO. So oh wait, here's the Google Business Profile. Oh, these all have some sort of ads attached to them. And then you have down here is your local SEO. So if you look at the sequence of this, it makes sense, right? So you have all the paid ads, which Google's making money off of. Then you're going to have some of in here, which they must rank really highly when it comes to organic SEO, or they're paying to be there. And then you have local SEO, which is all your Google Business Profiles right here. And then you have even more that fall down underneath, which is falling in organic SEO. The question about local SEO, organic SEO versus PPC, and what's the strategy that's right for you, that is 100% dependent on how much money you're willing to invest in marketing, and then the competitive nature of the industry that you're in. So for you in particular, it's going to be really difficult to move to the top of this without competing and playing in PPC. There's a lot of ways to get around this. Different keywords are going to be worth more money. So executive coaching might be really expensive keywords, and you might go after coaching for CEOs. You can find other keywords to kind of circumvent where a lot of this money is being spent. That's kind of all part of the keyword strategy and the upfront work that you do in the beginning when you're trying to decide if you're going to do PPC. Local SEO, we just talked about. A lot of this is Google Business Profile and local listings. Organic SEO that's an area where you actually spend quite a bit of money. It's probably the biggest investment you can make, because the long-term stability of your website is so much greater than buying your ranking. So organic SEO is typically a big investment, but it will pay off years down the road. So I don't often recommend that startups only use PPC or only use organic SEO. Sometimes I say use PPC to build the momentum, but you have to add in organic SEO once you've proven out your business and you have the longevity. Does that make sense? I'm going to go back over to, okay, yeah, great. Now where did my Q&A go? Oh, I've lost all. Oh, there it is. Okay, gotcha. Let's see. What's a good minimum budget for investing in marketing? Great question. It is different for every single client, and it depends on the value of the customers that you bring in. So that goes back to the customer acquisition cost target, and then determining the return on ad spend. That's a case-by-case thing. So if you have questions about that and I can share my template with you, I'm always happy to kind of help people do the math on that to figure it out. To answer it in a very high level way though, most agencies and most marketing is going to start at, so local SEO, for example, that's your easiest, that's $200 a month. That's to get your local listings. Anything above and beyond that, I would say, excluding that, you're starting at about $500 a month when it comes to anything digital. So you could run a paid social media campaign. You could run display ads for that kind of budget. You can, honestly, streaming TV is not even that much more than that. So I would say 500 is kind of your minimum for any of the channels outside of local SEO. Does that help? Cool. Are videos better than static ads? Yes. Videos typically get higher click-through rates. Having said that, the cost on running video ads are going to be more expensive. The exception is going to be on social media platforms. You can run video and static at the same rate. But if you're talking display ads, static images or GIF is one price point, and then video is considered pre-roll. That's a higher cost because it's run on different channels that are just more expensive to run video on. I would also tell you that there's a role for video and static depending on what you're trying to accomplish and what the messaging is. So I would just tell you that I would not holistically say you should do video no matter what. That's not necessarily the solution, but you will definitely get more engagement off of video. How can we boost Facebook and Instagram in our area to optimize reach to our local community is what is best in methods. So boosting, I have a love-hate relationship with boosting because typically this is Facebook is Meta's way of making money off of a lot of people who are just trying their best, but not necessarily savvy in marketing, unfortunately. So I don't think Meta does boosting very well. When you choose to put money towards a boost, what happens is, like I was saying before, in Facebook in particular, less than 2% of your organic post is going to be seen by your audience. So when you put money towards boosting, the first thing Meta does is increase that from 2% to maybe 50%. And then you might get money to outside of the people who already follow you. So you have to ask yourself, do I want to spend money to reach the people who already follow me on Facebook? Or do I want to spend money to go reach the people that don't? Because if you want to reach the people who don't already follow you, then I would tell you your money is better spent in paid ads and not boosting. To reach the local community, I have found that depending on what business you're in, if people are going to go to your profile and they know that that's where they should find information about you, they're going to go find your information, but not necessarily because it showed up in their news feed. You can advertise on paid social locally very inexpensively because there's really smart ways when you're running paid Facebook ads to reach locals instead of visitors. So I hope that answers the question. I would just be cautious on the boosting depending on how engaged your audience is already on Facebook. Okay, being in a resort town and given in a limited time and budget, should we always try to have two separate marketing approaches for tourists versus locals, or can we overlap the two? Oh my gosh, I love this question, Lindsay. It is an extraordinarily difficult thing to do both. I'm not gonna lie. It can cost a lot of money to do them both really, really well. And here's the reason. So I'm gonna try to do a quick example. If you choose to do both, the best way to do both is when you're going to do some sort of geo-targeting. And you're just going to say, I'm going to serve ads to everybody in the zip code 80487, and no matter what they are. When you do that, what happens in this town is in October and November, all those ads go to locals, and it's great. In December through March, we are flooded with people. So all of a sudden there's all these people here and your impressions are tiny compared to the entire market. So all of a sudden your dollars go far less, and it's like a shotgun approach. You're just hoping they land on somebody that has interest in you, as opposed to saying, just shift it. The beauty of digital advertising, and we do this for all of our clients here, is you shift it. You say October, November, we're targeting locals. You have a local message. But during January, February, March, if we want to target visitors, it's a different campaign. Then target visitors so that you give visitors a message relevant to them. And you're not giving locals a visitor's message, because then they get annoyed and frustrated and all these things. So I would tell you the only way to do it well is more embrace the seasonality and change your campaigns. I would not just assume you can blanket the community and you're going to get what you want to get out of it, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Okay, so but the second part to that, though, if that makes sense, is choose who you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. And that's where this return on ad spend comes in, is visitors are here. That's great. And if you think they're going to come back, or if you think they're going to spend enough money on this one trip that it's going to make it worthwhile to target them, go for it. If you think targeting locals and becoming that local go-to so that they keep coming back and coming back and coming back, if you think you could make more money from targeting locals, you could do that as well. So I think you have to ask yourself both questions and then determine if you want to do both, just do it wisely. Is that helpful?
It is. I kind of have a follow-up question for this. Lindsay is actually with the Steamboat Art Museum, and so they're like a really interesting
Yeah.
business for both tourists and locals. Is there like, would you suggest different types of marketing to our locals for business like that, and maybe something different for visitors? Does
Yep,
that
I
make
would very much so. So, and that's what I was saying is I would change the campaign. So run, if you want locals, there are definite channels. So I'm just going to give you an example. You can run a locals campaign at the exact same time you run a visitors campaign on social media, for example, but it's different messaging and you're targeting different people. So it's more effective. There's also something called geofencing. So like for the art museum, for example, let's say you want to bring visitors in, most likely you want to bring in affluent visitors. So what we do for clients here is we do geofencing. So we select 25 hotels in the area that are geared more towards affluent property management properties. And what we do is we geofence those areas and we serve ads just to those locations. So you can get very targeted and say, if you want to target affluent people, that's a totally different channel. You're not going to target hotels to target locals. So I think that both are true. How you do it and what channels you use can be and should be very different when you have a business like that. Is that answer your question, Cece?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Let's see. Another one. Are paid ads, boosted ads on Facebook and Instagram worth it? Is there any optimal budget to fully utilize this resource? Absolutely. In this town in particular, we run a lot of paid social campaigns for businesses here. They're incredibly worth it. You get a lot, so many impressions and so much engagement when it's done well, for a fairly small amount of money. So I would say absolutely. I don't know that I've talked to a lot of people that have found boosted ads to be a good spend. So I would just caution on that. Um, I'm always happy to look at that in particular. Before we actually run any paid ads, we do a forecasting for all of our clients to determine, are you going to get the impressions and the engagement you want out of that spend? So you can kind of validate it before you actually make the investment, if that's helpful. What is the difference between paid ads and boosting? Great question. So Meta will tell you that boosting ads is basically taking an organic post and you put money behind it so more people will see it. That's the biggest thing. But how I described it before is oftentimes that first layer of increase is going to come from your current Facebook followers. When you use paid advertising through Facebook and Instagram, though, that's where you have the targeting capabilities that your ad manager uses. And oftentimes you'll have access to those if you know how to use the ads manager. An agency like ours or other people who have this partnership with Meta, we have more targeting capabilities than you would have access to as a small business owner. So it really comes down to the targeting piece of it, I would say, is the biggest difference. Also, I think for boosting, you could literally boost a post for $5. So that's the other thing. I just don't know the $5 is going to get you very far. There's going to be more of a dollar commitment on paid ads. Like I was saying before, it's going to start at like $500 a month to run something like that. So I think there's that difference as well. How do you geofence on your own social? You can't geofence on social. So geofencing is a programmatic display targeting tactic, not for social. Social, the extent of what you can do there is you can retarget off of your website. So you could retarget anybody who goes to your website. You serve them a social media ad, but social media doesn't have the opportunity to geofence like display ads do. How do you do a paid ad versus boosting a post that you want to communicate? So if I think I'm understanding this correctly, let's say you have a post that you want to get broader awareness for, you can boost it. When you go to that post, there's a little button on the top right that it will give you an option of what you want to do with it. And it will ask you, do you want to boost, like it will boost the post, and then you put money towards it. The paid advertising is when you have a Meta business profile, a Meta business manager, there is an ads manager that's attached to that, and you would run paid ads through that ads manager. or you would have an agency do it. Anybody can have access to that Meta Business Manager. It's just a matter of if you know how to use it. How do you set up a paid ad targeted versus boosting a post targeted? And can you step through the process? I can step through the process, probably not in the next 5 minutes. And it's also highly dependent on if you have a Meta Business Manager set up. If you do, I'm happy, like we can do that separately and I can just walk you through like how to set that up. Boosting a post is what I just described before. It's literally just going to your organic post and you'll have in the 3 little dots on the top right corner the opportunity to boost it. Paid is just what takes a little bit longer through the Meta Business Manager. But if that's something that's interesting, I'm happy to have coffee one day and I can show you how to do it. And we can do our best to think through targeting and what that would look like too. Oh, Cece, I think you're muted.
Sorry,
One more question on there. Is it effective to add to your stories on your social versus post? Yes, because Facebook will prioritize any kind of visibility to stories versus posts now. So that you will definitely get more awareness out of that. I'm not sure, depending on what your audience following is, that will kind of dictate how many people will actually see your story.
Is there a difference between stories and reels too?
Yeah, Reels is kind of like, Reels are going to be your videos and then stories are going to be more of like the static and the carousel. So Reels are you get more priority over Reels versus stories.
We have like 2 more minutes left if anybody has some last minute questions. Thank you, Brooke, so much for being here. I think this was super helpful. And it really, I'm not in marketing, but I feel like you need to think about our strategy and everybody needs to look at it. So yeah, I appreciate your time. As I mentioned before, I'll send out the recording. I'll share your email so you can get the templates, and I'll share Brooke's email with you guys for the SEO audit if you're interested. And then if you have any additional questions that come up after the fact, please feel free to send them my way and I can facilitate getting them answered. Let's just see if there's anything else.
I love all these comments. You're all so very welcome. This was fun.
Yeah, well, I hope we'll have you back again next year. And
Yay!
we'll
I
talk
would love to.
soon. Thank you, guys.
In town, so if you see this face anywhere, just introduce yourself.
I think you have one more question. Oh no, it's just a comment. Incredibly helpful.
Oh, good. Awesome. I'm so glad.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.